So, in these prophets, we see promise of peace. But also in Micah, I see the person of peace. Not just the promise, but this peace would not be the result of any strategy on Israel's part. This peace that God is speaking about would not be because the people finally came to their senses and got together and formed a committee and figured out, well, let's change. No. This peace would only be accomplished by the Lord Himself. And in Micah, it says so. Go to Micah chapter 5. Micah chapter 5. And I love this, and I've mentioned this many times, probably until you're getting tired of hearing this, but I love this passage. And it's a passage that usually gets read especially around Christmas time. Micah chapter 5 verse 2 is speaking about the birth of Jesus Christ in Bethlehem. And it says in verse number 2, "But thou, Bethlehem, Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting." Now Micah, remember when Micah's alive? Assyrians at the gate, storm coming, society in turmoil, these threats on the horizon. And Micah reminds the people that there's going to be one born in Bethlehem. He's coming out of Bethlehem. And he's going to come forth unto me. He will be ruler in Israel. Now remember, from the days of Micah, which would be somewhere around 750 years before Jesus was born, Micah's living 750 or so BC. Jesus Christ would not be born for hundreds of years. And by the time Jesus was born, the Assyrian nation was just a memory. They were already overthrown. The Assyrians are gone when Jesus was born. Who was the world power when Jesus was born? The Romans. Nowhere from the time of Jesus Christ forward in history do you have any other mention of Assyrians. The Assyrian nation never rose again. The Romans were in power when Jesus was born. Micah chapter 5 verse 2 is speaking about Jesus, the birth of Christ in Bethlehem. But notice if we just read a little further, verse 3, "Therefore will he give them up." Who's that he? Well, the same he in verse number 2. "Out of Bethlehem shall he come forth unto me. Therefore will he give them up." Israel would be given up, turned over in a sense, until the time that she which travaileth hath brought forth. And certainly that's speaking about that time. It coincides with Revelation chapter 12 when Israel as a woman travaileth and brings forth. Now she brought forth the Messiah, but here the Messiah is already born in verse 2. And after the Messiah is born, he's speaking about a time of travail and trouble. This is tribulation in verse number 3. It's clearly tribulation when Israel travails but brings forth a new nation, a saved nation. "Then the remnant of his brethren shall return." All right, we're seeing that now. "Unto the children of Israel." Verse 4, "And he," the same one from verse 2 and verse 3, the he is the Messiah, the Lord Jesus Christ, "he shall stand and feed in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God, and they shall abide. For now shall he be great unto the ends of the earth." It's talking about the Messiah, the one who comes out of Bethlehem. The one who comes out of Bethlehem who would give Israel up for a little while until Israel travails, tribulation. Then he would stand in his strength. Stand in his and feed in the strength of the Lord. Standing is an important thing in the Scriptures. Standing is when Jesus Christ ascended into heaven and was seated. But when it's time for his second advent and he comes to conquer this world, he stands up. And here he's standing. And then notice verse 5, "And this man shall be the peace when the Assyrian shall come into our land." Now there are no Assyrians after the birth of Christ. But this man, born in Bethlehem, when Israel is in travail, will stand, will save, will redeem, will protect, will conquer. When? When the Assyrian shall come into our land. It's talking about the spirit of Antichrist and the world system that's in authority in these last days. Who will be the one to bring that peace that Isaiah and Micah and Hosea talk about? It's not going to be human committees. It's not going to be human wisdom. That peace is all due to one man. This man shall be the peace when the Assyrian shall come into our land. And it goes on to describe the Assyrian and the land of Nimrod. Wow. A lot of important things there. So Micah speaks about this man being our peace. Isaiah said that too, didn't he? What did Isaiah call him in Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 6? Called him the Prince of Peace, right? And of his government and peace there shall be no end, right? So this man who would bring peace is that Prince of Peace. So Isaiah and Micah speak about peace in the midst of a storm, but notice that peace is due to one man. Not a government, not a policy, not a consensus, not democracy, not freedom for all. Peace comes only from Jesus Christ. Not only nationally and politically, but personally. Peace only comes from Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace. There's God's promise of peace, but then there's God's person of peace. It's Jesus. He's the only one that can bring peace to this world. This world will have no peace. It will know no peace. Peace and safety is continually the cry of people, even more so now. But that peace comes from Jesus Christ. He said to His disciples in John chapter 16 and verse 33, He said, "These things I have spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. This man shall be the peace. In me you shall have peace. In the world you shall have tribulation." You're not going to find peace in the world. You're going to only find peace in the Lord Jesus Christ.